Reverend Dash.
Yes, sir.
It's a pleasure finally meeting you.
Here I am.
Promoter extraordinaire, musical producer extraordinaire. You've worked with the likes of Regina Bell, Roberta Flack, James Brown, Luther Vandross, and the list goes on. And you're a Canadian from Montreal.
Yeah.
You grew up in St. Henry.
Yes, sir.
Hung on Little Burgundy.
That's right.
Yeah. Talk to us about the music in your household. How did it influence you?
Well, my father loved music, and he worked on the railroad. And when he would come home on his layover, he would play his 78s. He had a lot of calypso music and big bands, and so he played it constantly when he was home.
Okay.
And me, as a teenager and around, would have no choice but to listen to it.
Okay.
And I began to enjoy it and wanted to be like one of the people that I'd heard singing or whatever it was.
He had also mentioned to me that Oscar Peterson used to come hang out at your house.
Well, Oscar Peterson was trying to get close to my sister, my eldest sister.
What do you mean trying to get close? What do you mean?
Well,
Explain.
he had a crush on her.
Yeah, okay.
You know,
All right.
at that day, back in the day.
Okay.
And we had a piano at the house, so he would come by to court my sister, and he would sometimes play the piano. Of course, you know, that was his tool to win over the whole household.
Okay.
And then I would say to him, as a youngster, I'd say, "Can I sing with you?" And he would say, "What do you want to sing?" And I say, generally, play the blues and B flat, you know.
Okay.
And he would play something, and I would sing. Of course, I didn't have a real good voice to sing, but he wasn't going to say no. You know, he had to win me over too, as a brother of my sister, who he was really working on. So that was just something I mentioned since he got so big and whatever. Yeah. I tell my friends, even my friends, and say, "Oh, you know, back in the day, I sang with Oscar Peterson." You know?
Now, what year was this around?
Oh, I couldn't really tell you. I really
that far back.
That far back, I couldn't really. It has to be. I would have to say that would be a good 60, 70 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're revealing your age, Merv.
Well, I don't care. It is what it is.
How old are you, Merv? You look good. How old are you?
I'm 86.
Oh. Now, I want you to bring us back to your neighborhood. Describe us how St. Henry was. What was the make of St. Henry back then?
Well, when I lived in St. Henry, actually, there were just about 3 black families that we knew. There were the Rockheads on Convent. We were on LaPorte.
Okay.
The S's on Agnes, and the Beards on what was that? Irene Street.
Okay.
And there was a park there, and that's what it is. I went to St. Thomas Aquinas School, which was on Convent Street.
Talk to us about the makeup of Little Burgundy, because you also were part of Union United Church, the Negro Community Center.
Yeah.
Tell us about the makeup of Little Burgundy.
Well, we had a little community that was there. We had our weekly dances.
Okay.
We had dances at the Negro Community Center, and we had dances at the UNIA.
Okay.
From the community.
Okay.
Of all, you know, the black kids and whatever, where we would go out on a Saturday.
Okay.
And they'd play records most of the time. And we'd have our little girlfriends and come and dance and whatever. And that was, you know, for what we did on the Saturday night or something like that, you know. And it was free, no cost. We went and we all danced and did what we had to do.
What was minimum wage back then?
Oh, I don't know, 25 cents an hour or something like that.
Couldn't get me working for that much.
Well, listen, you could have French fries, Coke, and something else for a quarter.
Wow.
I know my father used to send me to the store to buy him cigarettes that cost 37 cents.
Come on, Merv.
That's right. And I better bring home that, he'd give me 2 quarters, and I better bring home that 13 cents. Don't drop a penny and forget about it. You pick up you bring back 13 cents. Now, when I had my kids and I sent them to the store to buy some, I got to give them a tip.
Yeah.
It's changed now. But back in my father's day, you bring that back. And then we had different things.
Okay.
Go to the corner. Then nobody asked me about my age when I bought him cigarettes.
Okay.
Nobody asked me about my age when I go a quarter beer, being a big old beer. Go get me a quarter beer. Okay, Dad. Boom. Go and give me.
You were a kid doing this.
I was a kid doing it.
Okay.
Nobody said, "Where's your ID?" There was no such thing as ID.
Okay.
You know, you just see how things grow, and again how they changed. You know.
But I want you to take us back to your father working on the railroad.
Yes.
Because back then, working on a railroad was very important to black men, right?
Well, they knew you could go right there and get a job.
Yes.
There was no problem to go to if you wanted to work and you were a black man, you went right to the railroad and you got a job.
So were black people able to get other jobs other than the railroad?
No, not really. Not until later years. Well, one of the things that they found with a lot of American people who came here, musicians and porters that
Yes.
stayed in Canada and Montreal, they did not have a social prejudice.
Okay.
They were accepted by the whites and, you know, the French Canadians and what.
Why is that? Why?
I don't know why. They were readily accepted.
Okay.
But economically, there was the prejudice. They couldn't get those jobs.
Okay.
But they could go into various families. They liked, you know, there was a social. And don't forget, Jackie Robinson and these people grew up here to be where they came from, which started in there in Quebec and things like that.
So there was a social prejudice in the U.S.
Oh, and yes, like in my father's day, when he would go on walking the street in certain cities and states, when he traveled, he would tell us the stories.
Okay.
He'd have somebody walking on the sidewalk. He had to get off the sidewalk and walk on the street and let them walk by if there were, you know, a few white men and stuff like that. Because at that time, the Ku Klux Klan was very active back there in the day. So you had to be careful about all of that stuff. Well, that didn't exist here.
Okay.
You were accepted socially,
In Quebec.
but
Montreal.
economically
Montreal.
was the problem.
Okay. I want you to take us to when Little Burgundy became the hot spot for urban music. How did that become? Why was Burgundy so hot? Why were so many musicians coming in and out of Little Burgundy and playing in Little Burgundy?
Well, it had to do with about 3 or 4 of us innovators that were there.
Okay.
There was Rockhead's Paradise at that time,
Okay.
who brought in a lot of talent, and it was well sponsored. Meaning it was well attended. You know.
Yes.
And it grew. Very big major artists came to Montreal. They used
Give
to
us
call
some
it
names.
the
Give us
North.
some names.
Duke Ellington,
Wow.
Count Basie, Billy Eckstine. I saw them. They had the Café de l'Est, the Café du Nord, Montmartre. They had all of these people, and they had major shows. And the Esquire Show Bar, Bo Diddley, you name them. They all came, and all were supported.
Okay.
I brought James Brown back in the day, 1960 something, might have been a 68 or somewhere around
Okay.
there. I brought him to the Paul Sauvy Arena
In the East End.
in the East End.
Okay.
And,
Why not the Bell Center?
pardon me?
Why not the Montreal Forum? Why couldn't you bring him to the Montreal Forum?
I couldn't.
Why not?
Well, they didn't want, because I wasn't the right complexion at that time.
So that time.
I went to rent the Montreal Forum, and they refused me.
Okay.
I had a white friend of mine who went and rented it for me, and we became partners.
Okay.
And I brought Isaac Hayes into the Montreal Forum.
What year is this when you brought Isaac
Oh
Hayes?
my God, you keep asking me about what year it was.
Just say your age. How old were you?
I guess I would have to say I would be about maybe 30.
Okay.
James Brown was very popular here with the French-speaking people.
What was it because he was playing on TV?
No, it was because he didn't have no lyrics to his songs. So they could understand that. He had a big, powerful band.
Okay.
And if you notice or you listen back to, even in the story, James Brown's first record was Please, Please, Please.
Okay. How'd that go?
Baby, please don't go because you know I love you so. That is the entire lyric of James Brown's first big hit record.
Wow.
And you know it. Baby, please don't go
And then the rest was
because you know I love you so.
okay.
And fall on your knees and put the cape on him and scream. "Ah, ah," so the French-speaking people could understand that. So they could identify with that. As opposed to another type of artist might come and sing a heavy-laden song of love or that maybe they couldn't understand. But they could understand James Brown. No problem.
So when you brought James Brown, how old were you around?
I guess I would say I was about 35 and I filled the joint up with
Sold out.
Sold out.
So
Sold
you,
out.
so you made some money.
I did.